Okay, I'm going to try and squeeze this video in real quick. I decided to pick a subject which I'm well versed on because it was a big moment in my life, which I've never known what to do with. So when it was after university, it was like 97, 98, something like that. And I was living in a house with mates in London while we were trying to sort of figure out what to do with our lives. Mainly applying for jobs and working temp jobs and what have you before advertising. So I had a premonition. Let's cut to the chase. I had a dream, but it wasn't a dream because I wasn't in it. I was out of body completely. What I saw was from above, way above in the sky. So there was no me, I didn't exist. And of all things, what I saw was not particularly important in the grand scheme of things. It wasn't like I witnessed 9/11 or whatever. I saw a football match. At that time, I wasn't very interested in football, university, and various other pursuits like clubbing, and life was different, really different, and I wasn't focused on football at all. I had no idea what was going on in the league. I had no idea who was competing. I had no idea who was or wasn't dominating. I mean, I had a sense that Manchester United were doing reasonably well, I think. But that was about it. And anyway, I saw this football match from above, and I saw the scoreline. It was a specific time during the match. I saw the scoreline, I saw the time on the clock, I saw some of the goals that were scored. I saw lots of the way the goals were scored. I saw the goal scorers, who were actually players that I, at the time, didn't know. I remember one of the goals that really stands out was scored by Patrick Vieira. And at the time, I didn't actually know who the fuck he was. It was like early days with Wenger and stuff like that. I'm not an Arsenal fan, nothing like that. But I saw everything. I saw like numbers in the league. I had a very strong feeling when I woke up, this team is going to win the league. When I told one of my friends when I woke up from this premonition, at the time I'd not thought about the fact that I was out of body. To me it was just a dream. And then as I talked to various people afterwards, it became clear that apparently when you have a dream, you are in the dream, and when you have a premonition, you are quite often outside of your body. So you're just viewing it. So I was viewing it from the sky. I was viewing this football match. I woke up, I told my mate, and he was like, you should place a bet. This was back before all the online betting and all that stuff, and whilst I know how to do that now, I didn't really know how to bet on something back then, which had not finished. I was mid-game, so I knew the score mid-game, but I didn't know the final score. So going about doing a bet and everything, it just seemed a bit much, and I was busy. I had other stuff going on, and whilst it did feel like, it felt like, okay, I think this seems really detailed, like the details of me knowing these people by face and who scored and who hasn't and all that sort of stuff. Again, seeing it all from above. I didn't place a bet, but the following Saturday we did watch Match of the Day, and lo and behold, this match came on, Arsenal. I was just looking back actually, because I've only looked back once before just to clarify which match it was. I do it by looking at when Vieira scored and when he scored the second goal, because that's what I think happened. And also there being a point in the game where it's 2-1. That's also in this. So I think it was against Manchester United in 97, November 97, something like that. The goal had Vieira running across. I remember from above I could see it. Vieira running across the outside of the area from left to right if you were looking down, and shooting across up into the top left hand corner, I think. Anyway, there was that and loads of other details, but that was one of the things that really stood out for me all these years later. You know, what is it, how many years later now? 27 years, 28 years later. And lo and behold, we saw it on Match of the Day, and I saw it from a different angle. I saw it from the camera angle, so from the side of the pitch. But it was the same stuff. Everything was bang on. Points, goals, the order of the goals, the goal scorers, the 3 goal scorers that I saw, the score at the time, the order in which they scored, etc. Go on and on and on. It was all spot on. Never had a premonition since. Never. Nothing. But it happened. And it's not something I would ever be able to prove to anyone or explain to anyone. You know, sometimes people say things like, I had a moment with God or whatever. I don't know. At that point, I was an atheist, and I've never been a big fan of religion, because that's groups of people who have gotten together and have a hierarchy and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, but the idea of like spirituality, the idea of there being something else, more to the eye, that's what kind of what I was left with. So I spent years thinking, what does this mean? Like, does it mean that all of our futures are determined? They're just going to play out? And honestly, I don't know. Still to this day, I don't know the answer to those questions. I don't know whether our futures are determined, whether everything happens for a reason. I'd like to think that things happen for a reason. Whether we have free will, we have a choice. Funnily enough, the person who I told about it, one of my best friends from university, has never liked the idea that the future is predetermined. He prefers the idea that, you know, at any moment we can change our futures. You know, truth be told, what I took away from it is, well, first of all, I wanted to know, why did I see it? Why did I see this thing that actually happened? And then secondly, obviously, it's like, well, how? So it left me thinking about it for a very long time. And in the end, all I could conclude from it was, there's more going on than you realise. And maybe science will explain it one day, but there's more going on between individuals, between us, the way we interact with each other, etc., than we understand. So what that, you know, yeah, so in some senses, I would say that I went from being an atheist to becoming somewhat more spiritual, I would call it. I still think that there are things that are unexplained and then will be explained in time with science. Sometimes I think that we potentially have an ability to tap it. This is going to sound crazy, I'm sorry, but sometimes I feel like we have the ability to tap into almost like an organic or biological internet, where we have some shared knowledge together, but we don't know how to do that anymore. Maybe we knew how to do it once, but we don't know how to do it anymore, or something like that. I don't know. Like, when I talk about it, I will sound crazy because something crazy happened, but it happened, and I'll never forget it. And given that happened, it's really hard to trust yourself as well, because you go, well, what do I do? Like, okay, that happened, but no one else saw it, and no one else is talking about it, and so still it's like, what do I do with that information? And the answer is not a lot. But it is, you know, it happened, and so to me that means there's more going on with us than we realise. and we're interconnected in ways that we don't understand. And potentially there's some sort of subconscious driving all of us, and potentially there are some futures that are predetermined or going to happen, but also maybe there's a shared knowledge base that we can dip into as well, which not only is what's going on now, but what's about to happen. So yeah, don't really have any answers. I just have my interpretation of events. But it felt like, when I asked myself why did that happen, I think the answer was to let me know that that I don't know it all, that there's more going on. And that's okay. I'm cool with that. Anyway, peace out to the next video.